Good evening. I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight, not only for attending the board meeting on December 10th, but also for rearranging your schedules. We did move it up a week early, and we also moved the time up to accommodate for City Council. We know everyone here is probably going to rush off to that after, so we'll make sure that we don't dilly-dally, and we'll try to get through as efficiently as we can. So thank you again. If we could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Mr. Eastwood.
Here.
Ms. Pavlik.
Here.
Mr. Skidmore.
Here.
Mr. Ross.
Here.
Ms. Parkhurst.
Here.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes for November 19th and the work session of December 3rd, 2018.
I'll second.
Are there any comments or changes or amendments to the minutes? Hearing none.
Ms. Parkhurst.
Aye.
Ms. Pavlik.
Aye.
Mr. Eastwood.
Aye.
Mr. Skidmore.
Aye.
Mr. Ross.
Aye.
Thank you.
Are there any additions, removals, or modifications to the consent agenda?
The only question I guess I have is I've got like an alternative language proposal that I would like to maybe make as a motion, but I don't know if you would give us latitude to discuss it later in the meeting as we get down to the rec center proposal. Instead of right now, just understand that there's a request for an alternative language proposal.
Okay. And I think once we open it up and have motions in our discussion, we can address it at that time.
As long as we're okay with, if there was a second to that, to add that, I just want to make sure that if we approve the agenda now, that's okay if we do that. Okay, thank you.
Can I get a motion then, please?
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Mr. Skidmore.
Aye.
Ms. Pavlik.
Aye.
Mr. Eastwood.
Aye.
Mr. Ross.
Aye.
Ms. Parkhurst.
Aye.
Thank you.
Good evening. It's nice to see so many students sitting out there. Excited to have our high school here this evening for this month's presentation. At this time, I'd like to invite you up front.
Well, thanks to the Board of Education for inviting the high school this evening. And every month it seems like we have an agenda item on there for a student trip. And they usually fall into a couple different categories. Obviously, our athletic teams are pretty self-explanatory, going out of state, a tournament or a camp. We also have educational sightseeing tours that happen. We have performances by band and encore and groups. But then we also have trips that kind of may go unnoticed or may go as a sightseeing educational tour, which isn't the case. Tonight I asked Laura Calicovo and Justin Brantner, who are two teachers who have led some of these trips, to explain what they do and how it benefits both the student and staff member, and how it benefits Medina as a whole, so that each month when we have some of these trips that we approve, you kind of understand the impact that it has not only in that foreign country and how we may help with service, but also how they bring it back to Medina and make an impact on our local community. So you're going to see not only two of our very best staff members here this evening, but you're going to see four of the very best and brightest students we have to offer at Medina High School. All four of these individuals are involved in a multitude of activities, student council being some, our performing groups. So without further ado, I'd like them to explain to you the impact of some of these trips that we as a school district help and sponsor.
This past summer on June 11th, we were waking up at 2 in the morning to drive to Cleveland Hopkins Airport. Months of preparation, going over the itinerary, and attending meetings led to this day. The day we'd be traveling to Dominican Republic for our service trip. Many students and even adults I know have never been out of the country. It was a great learning experience for all of us. In a short time, we would have to accept the adult responsibilities, learn how to pack for ourselves, go through customs and immigration, and learn how to travel without our parents. When we arrived in Dominican Republic, we were immediately submerged in the culture. Only a short time after arriving at the hotel in Santo Domingo, we were given a tour of the city where we learned about the history, the people, and got the chance to explore Santo Domingo with one another. A few days later, we arrived in Constanza. Our transportation would be a little bit different for the next 4 days. We got out of the bus and jumped to the back of pickup trucks with our stuff. We traveled up a narrow path on the side of the mountain through Valle Nuevo National Park until we arrived at the top of the mountain. The Eco Lodge at the top of the mountain we stayed at was called Villa Pajon. It was different from any hotel or place most of us have ever stayed at before. There was no Wi-Fi or cell connection. Hot water was limited. We had no access to electricity, only solar power. This gave us all a chance to experience something we have never before.
So while we were in the Dominican, we worked very closely with the Jose de Leo Foundation, and what their main mission was to just conserve the natural beauty of Valle Nuevo, which is where we were staying. And so the project that we were working on was to help the golden swallow, and that is an endangered bird species that's endemic to the Dominican Republic. And so a lot of people, including myself, would wonder what's so special about this particular bird and why we need to save it. And it just has to do with the entire balance of nature and how every species is important when we're protecting the environment. And humans are responsible for a lot of the environmental issues we have today. And so we have an obligation to give back and provide our service when we can. And so Jose de Leo and his wife Rosa were just so passionate about the birds we were helping and everything else we were doing that it was able to easily transfer to us, and we felt the passion as well. And so what we were able to do to help the golden swallow was construct nesting boxes for them, since much of their habitat had been destroyed. And so we all got together in this large barn workspace, and we had some Dominican adult volunteers that helped us go through the different jobs. So it was either cutting the wood or actually assembling the boxes. And then while we did that, some other people used recycled paper to make fire starters. And then we also used some routers to make some signs for around there. And I really liked that part. And so it was just a really hands-on way for us to help out a species that I wouldn't even know existed. And it was a really cool experience for all of us.
Our next adventure on our trip was visiting kids and their school in the village of Constanza. While making the trip to the school, we passed many farms, which really showed us the difference in lifestyle they had compared to here in the U.S. They had many acres of land, and instead of using high-tech tools like we do, they used oxen and many old-school methods of farming. Upon arriving at the school, you could immediately tell how different it was from MHS. There was one classroom for the various kids and different age groups there in the village. It was a very small school with only one light bulb. However, part of our service at the school was helping with the electrical conditions. More light bulbs were added and also outlets for the computers bought by the school by the Jose de Leo Foundation. While helping with the school, we also had the opportunity to connect with the kids themselves. We brought various toys with us for the kids, and we played with those as well as colored with them. It was amazing to see their reaction to the toys, and they were so happy to play with us for the day. The next day, the older kids visited us at Villa Pajon, and it was really fun to connect with kids more our age. We got to show them an American card game, and they even challenged us to a dance battle, which they won, of course. It was so great getting to connect with the kids and an amazing opportunity to practice our Spanish-speaking skills.
First, in Santo Domingo, we went on a tour to learn some history about the Dominican Republic, its people, and its neighbor, Haiti. Then we got to go to the markets and see traditional tourist items as well as beautiful art done by locals. We were even able to try negotiating with the Spanish we knew. The whole trip we were treated to amazing local food and even had the opportunity to participate in a cooking class on some of our favorite meals. We also got to participate in a dance class to learn popular Latin dances like the bachata, merengue, and salsa. Being in a national park, we went on several hikes exploring the unique ecosystems of the area, containing species we had only ever heard of or seen in books. We took a quick swim at the end of a waterfall in 40-degree water and did some stargazing in the clearest yeah. and did some stargazing in the clearest sky we had ever seen with our personal astronomer, Dr. B, quickly awakening a love for space we didn't know we had. After the mountains, we headed out to Santiago and a coast lined with miles of mangrove trees, and went on a boat ride to a sandbar surrounded by beautiful coral reefs that we got to see up close while snorkeling. Then we went back to the coast, wrapping up an amazing trip.
My goal for service learning for students is to teach leadership skills that we focus on in student council, and to do this through the trips when we come back as well as when we are there. So what are the leadership skills that we focus on here in student council as well as at Medina? I think one of my biggest skills that I try to instill in kids is critical thinking and problem solving skills, life skills, of course, that we can take with us through college and into our careers. In the Dominican, the kids used routers, the kids used power tools. They had to work together to figure out how nesting boxes could be made in the most efficient amount of time. They also set some pretty lofty goals, and many of our kids would even cut their lunch break short so that they could go back to the barn and continue working. Team building. The kids needed to work together to find out what were their strengths, what were their weaknesses, how could they work together, again, to achieve those goals. Compromise, especially the 7 girls living together in one lodge without electricity. Lots and lots of compromise. Communication, obviously being submersed in the culture and the language, forced the kids to use their Spanish as well as some version of sign language and step out of their comfort zone to talk to not only each other, but Dominicans, both youth and adults. Being responsible and independent. Don't lose your passport. You're responsible for hauling all of your own belongings. You need to make your own decisions without asking mom and dad. These are all, again, important life skills that we are instilling in our kids and giving them this opportunity to practice. Good citizenship, volunteering, making a difference, going out to change the world. These are all attainable for kids even as teenagers and entering young adulthood. In the evenings, EF, the company that we travel with, did what they call reflections. The programs had the kids do evaluation. They had them working together to use problem solving and critical thinking skills. We talked about everything from ecological issues to what the United Nations is working on and what are important things in our society and our world that we should be focusing on. And so we hope that the kids have these opportunities not only on the trips, but as they come back here to practice these leadership skills in Medina as well.
As Laura just said, a number of the skills that the students learned while they were on this trip, we thought it was valuable that they bring a number of them back. Being one of the advisors for Student Council and working with Laura really closely on this, Student Council sponsored over the last couple of years service project days between the Clean Water Initiative, Saving the Bees, and then this year, because of our work in the Dominican, we decided to partner up with the Ohio Ornithological Society and also the Ohio Bluebird Society. We worked with Dale Raboon to work on building nesting boxes for the bluebird as well as swallows. And we just recently, not this weekend, the previous weekend, installed the nesting boxes. The students built them in Student Council, constructed them, worked in the industrial tech hallway, and then we went outside and we installed them around the holding ponds outside in front of the pack. So we felt, as we were thinking for the service project this year, to not only continue with some of the previous ones, the long-lasting environmental impacts that our Clean Water Initiative has, as well as our Saving the Bees initiative, and now ultimately also on our bird species, how they all factor together, that we felt that the service project that the kids worked on in the Dominican was transferable to also a bird species that lives in Ohio. And the kids did a fantastic job with it. So the last kind of topic that we'd kind of like to have each of the kids, and then Laura and I will speak on also, was the overall impact that this service trip to the Dominican had, not only on them, but also on us.
So after the trip, I wanted to travel more, see the world more, and be introduced to new cultures. So one of the biggest impacts this trip had is now I want to study abroad in college. So as a senior in high school, I will be graduating in less than 6 months. But after this trip, I knew I wanted to keep travel in my life. Wanting to study abroad is perfect because I will be able to continue my studies while being in a completely different country.
So for me, the biggest impact is just, I don't really know what I want to do in the future, but after this trip, I know it has to be something where I'm connecting with people and providing a service to others. And just like Jose Delio, I want to find what's most passionate to me and then just make a difference with that.
My service trip to the Dominican Republic has inspired me to hopefully embark on many more service trips, and it also strengthened my love for kids and my goal is to become a teacher with a career in early childhood education.
The impact this trip had on me is that as a fluent Spanish speaker, I have accessibility to different cultures and people with lives polar opposite to mine, and that I must use that as a vehicle for change.
The impact that I would like these service trips to have on our students is that they find their passion, that they go out and make a difference. I think everyone can use their talents and interests to make a positive impact on the world. And while saving birds might not be first choice for everyone, learning leadership skills that are transferable to help students go out and make their mark in the world.
The two major impacts for me personally that I felt that this trip had was as a newer staff member in this building, working with someone who's done service trips and worked with student council. Getting to see how Cal works with these kids was something I would never trade. It was absolutely fantastic. Seeing her leadership, seeing her communication skills, seeing just how she is so passionate about these service trips makes me continually want to go on them with her. The other impact as a teacher in the district and also as a community member was seeing our kids down there. I don't think you can get a better snapshot of how proud we should be of our kids in this district when you see them go to another country, representing Medina with absolute fantastic precision in every aspect. It was incredibly impactful. They're up in terms of kind of our next up and coming leaders, and they nailed it on this trip. So I'm super proud of them for that.
I want to thank our high school students, student council for your presentation tonight. This is just an outstanding example of the opportunities that our district provides our students, and our students are able to carry on back to the district. And something I would never want to limit these opportunities that really go beyond our walls and borders. And I want to invite Laura up front and Mr. Harrison. I'm sure you noticed your family sneaking in the back here. Each school year, we do something special in our district where we present Distinguished Service Awards, DSA. We have over 700 staff in the district, and we only present this award to 4 different staff members in a given school year. And I want to congratulate Laura. She's been selected as our DSA, and I've got a short write-up to read about her. Not that you haven't heard enough tonight about the great things she's doing. Laura has been a standout member of Medina City Schools for over 25 years as a Spanish teacher dedicated to her students and fellow colleagues. Originally hired at Medina Junior High School, Laura has spent the last 20 years teaching at Medina High School. Not only does she go above and beyond as a teacher in the World Language Department, she has also taken on various additional roles during her time at the high school. No matter the task, she always has the best interest of the students in mind. Many know Laura for her devotion and service to student council. She has worked diligently to provide service opportunities to all the members of student council, instilling in them the importance of giving back not only to their own communities, but to those worldwide. Provide them an opportunity to have a voice and the ideals of philanthropy. The award-winning group continues to make a difference under her leadership, receiving the National Council of Excellence Award 6 years in a row, among many other accolades. Laura has also been honored with the Advisor of the Year Award in 2017. For several years, Laura has helped to coordinate the homecoming court and all the activities surrounding the annual event, as well as multiple pep assemblies during the course of the school year, making her one of the biggest cheerleaders at Medina High School. Over and above her commitment to student council, along the way, she has been the senior class advisor, a co-volleyball coach, and assistant director of some of the full-length plays at the high school. She has coordinated and traveled on countless service trips to the Dominican Republic and Ecuador, just to name a few, providing not only student council members the opportunity to serve outside of their own backyard, but also opening the chance of a lifetime to the entire Medina High School student body. She has even been invited to share her knowledge and lead a session for other teachers in the Dominican Republic on how to incorporate service learning in their buildings as well. Laura is always graciously willing to lend a helping hand no matter the request. She tutors her students in the morning twice a week each week. She openly shares her materials with colleagues and regularly collaborates with the World Language Department to help ensure student success. She provides time every Friday morning to her student council members to work on publicity and other projects. Her leadership has helped to make Medina High School and Medina City Schools a better place because of her enthusiasm as both a teacher and advisor. She has a gift that allows her to connect with her students, providing them with valuable life lessons they can take with them each and every day. Thank you for being an integral part of the Medina City Schools family.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very kind words. Appreciate it. Love what I do. Love what I do. Thanks, Mr. Thorne. Absolutely. Thank you. Oh. Thank you. Thank you.
How about we cry? Thank you.
And normally we let our students and our presenting school go right away, but there's one more presentation that I want to make on behalf of our high school while our students are still here. And I want to thank the work of our teachers as well as the work of Mr. Harrison with our AP programming. Medina City Schools placed on the College Board's 9th Annual AP District Honor Roll for significant gains in student access and success. Medina City Schools is one of 373 school districts in the United States and Canada being honored by the College Board with placement on the 9th Annual AP District Honor Roll. This is the second year in a row Medina City Schools has achieved this honor. To be included on the honor roll, the district had to, since 2016, increase the number of students participating in AP while also increasing or maintaining the percentage of students earning AP exam scores of 3 or higher. Reaching these goals show that this district is successfully identifying motivated, academically prepared students who are ready for advanced placement. Success in advanced placement is a combination of students' own motivation and the opportunities educators provide for them, says the Senior Vice President of the AP Board and Instruction at the College Board. I'm inspired by the teachers and administrators in this district who have worked to clear a path for more students of all backgrounds to earn college credit during high school. In 2018, more than 4,000 colleges and universities around the world received AP score for college credit, advanced placement, or both, or consideration in the admission process. Inclusion in the 9th Annual AP District Honor Roll is based on a review of 3 years of AP data from 2016 to 2018, looking across 38 AP exams, including world language and culture. The following criteria were used. Districts must increase participation access to AP by at least 4%, in large districts, at least 6% in medium districts, and at least 11% in small districts. increased or maintained the percentage of American Indian, Alaska Native, Black, African American, Hispanic, Latino, and Native, Hawaiian, other Pacific Islander students taking the exams, and increased or maintained the percentage of American Indian, Alaskan Native, Black, African American, Hispanic, and Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander students scoring a 3 or higher on at least one AP exam. Improve or maintain performance when comparing the 2018 percentage of students scoring a 3 or higher to the 2016 percentage, unless the district has already attained a performance level at which more than 70% of its AP students earn a 3 or higher. The complete 9th annual AP District Honor Roll will be released. We actually have a press release for you this evening, so you can access that information. Again, I want to congratulate the high school. Again, I think this is a sign for the great things that are happening. And I think tonight we've really demonstrated that it's not just the classroom, but it's the things happening outside of the classroom that make this such a great place. Thank you. And Dr. Kwolek, I know, got held up in a meeting, but I wanted to make sure that I recognized her this evening. Dr. Kwolek, just last Thursday night, was recognized by Leadership Medina County with the Excellence in Education Leadership Award. I was fortunate, as well as Mr. Skidmore and his wife, to join Dr. Kwolek and her husband that evening at the event. She was actually selected as the winner at the event, so she was one of 2 finalists. So it's quite an honor and example of the type of leadership that we have in our district, and I congratulate her. Last but not least, I want to mention the organizational meeting date, just so we get it on record today. I know we discussed this at our work session last week, but we had discussed January 7th, which is the first Monday after break, and at that time we will be making recommendations, and the board will be voting on involvement on district committees, as well as the president and vice president of the school board. I know over the coming weeks we'll be looking for board feedback in terms of some of those placements, and I have no doubt some discussion is probably already occurring. And the last thing, I know I said last but not least, but I wanted to mention that we do have another community chat tomorrow at 4 o'clock. It's going to be held at Garfield. We will be live streaming it like we did the first one. So this is our second go around with this, but we also invite and encourage individuals to show up and be part of that presentation. We do have many teachers that are going to be presenting at Garfield, so the format's changed a little bit different this year, so it's not just me talking and discussing. Thank you.
Yes, as you may have heard, last month the board went down to OSBA for their annual conference, and during that time all the board members, most of the administrators, got to view our students at Encore and their presentation that they made down there. I myself was busy trying to obtain a table at the Alliance meeting and keep roughly 300 people away from our table. But on the good side...
We do appreciate that,
oh,
by
I
the
know
way.
you
Thank
do.
you very much. We do.
On the good side, though, I was working from January of last year with Tyler Skidmore about getting a group of students to the 5-county December meeting. And I want to thank Tyler, Tom Benezzi, and Katie Payton for bringing the Encore Entertainment Group to 5-county OASBO. They basically brought 80 of the 100+ students there. They performed instrumental, dancing, and singing for roughly 100 treasurers and their treasurer's office from the 5 different counties. So it was really appreciated, and we really had a good time. Thank you. Now, to get on to the better stuff here, as everyone looks down. The District bank balance decreased by $10.14 million in November to $75 million. This is $824,000 above last year at this time. The reason for the large decrease is we did have bonds that we paid off in the month of November that were due December 1st. General fund revenues were below last November by $1.6 million. Again, your real property and public utility personnel account for the decrease. Again, this is due to higher payments in the first half because of the changing tax laws. Our general fund expenditures were above last November by $2.7 million. Personal services, benefits, and supplies were contributed to this, and this relates to the strategic plan. Also, we have had 11 pays this year as compared to 10 pays last year at this time. Sales tax fund balance is down to $2.3 million. District spent $1.3 million in November, and a large portion was on the principal and interest of the certificate of participation bonds. The rec center capital fund balance is $574,999. District was reimbursed $2,620. I was about to say $2 million. $2,620 for the prior projects, and we spent roughly $10,400 in November. A correction of expense was also made. We charged the rec center when it should have been charged to the business office fund. This was $1,725. The district received $159,000 in the month of November for interest income. The total collected for the current year is approximately $44,900 above the total collected in fiscal year 17. We're at 66% of last year's total collections. And the district currently has a general fund true days cash estimated to be 258.78 days. This is down from October by 16.84 days and below last year by 13.94 days. Any questions?
Dave, can you just clarify for the public the certificate of participation bonds, what exactly that is for?
The certificate of participation bonds were taken out when we created Waite and Northrop Elementary Schools. They are low interest bonds, and the district has been paying down on them. I believe we pay down on them until 2037, if I recall. So, yes. Thank you.
Any board communications?
I just know that I was contacted by Kids First, and they continue to do fundraising to offset expenses. So keep an eye out for their signs and their opportunities. Sometimes it might just be something as simple going to a restaurant or possibly another event, but they are going to be year round, and they're going to continue to try to support the kids of the district.
I was fortunate enough to attend the facilities committee last week. I hadn't attended one of those before. So it was very well organized, and I liked a lot of the discussion that goes on. They were planning the projects for this upcoming year, the summer that will be here before we know it. One thing that I guess was a little concerning to me, which is what I think we've all been concerned about, is there were many years there where we weren't able to keep up with our regular repair and maintenance. And now we're starting to try to peck away at that, but now things are getting added to the list. The sales tax funds of about $1.3 million have been used. Clearly, that's not enough. So I know we've had discussions about possibly going out for a bond for our repairs, maintenance, capital improvements, and from being at that meeting, that's clear that we're going to need to do something at some point in time because we just aren't able to keep up with the maintenance of our 12 buildings or so that we need to do. Additionally, I wanted to remind the public that there's lots of concerts and fun things going on. The high school already had their choir concert, I believe, last week. There's still the middle school concerts. There was one. I think there's another one coming up next week. Elementary schools are having lots of theater productions and Glee Club and Bell Choir. So I know the district calendar has all of those events listed. People should check them out and make sure they are able to attend something. At this time, we're going to take a little break, and I'm going to make a motion that we move to executive session.
Can I add a couple items on that reason for the executive? One would be discussion with board's counsel of disputes involving the board that are subject of pending or imminent court action. And then the other one being the last one, which is that consideration of confidential information relating to marketing plans, specific business strategy, production techniques, trade secrets, or other personal financial statements, or to negotiations with other political subdivisions respecting economic development assistance.
And to consider the employment, and compensation of a public employee or official. Anyone else like to add anything?
I just wanted to inform the board that I just added those to the official agenda.
Thank you.
So we will be moving to executive session, and we will be returning. Yes, after we get a second motion.
Second.
I'll second it if you made it. Thank you.
Roll, please.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Mr. Skidmore?
Aye.
Mr. Eastwood?
Aye.
Ms. Pavlik?
Aye.
Mr. Ross?
Aye.
Thank you.
And we will be taking action when we return from executive session. And we're back. Thank you to everyone who stuck it out for us to come back. We will be starting back with the treasurer's action items, please.
Yes, if it pleases the board, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the November 2018 Treasury Report. Item number 2, supplemental to the 2018-19 permanent appropriations. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following supplementals to the 2018-19 permanent appropriations. What you'll see on there is you have a bunch of little appropriation increases. You also see transportation enterprise. Our transportation department does work for outside groups, and so they're increasing their appropriations based on, I believe it's Buckeye is getting work done for them here at our transportation department. We also have our school safety grant, which is new. This, I believe we have monies going out for this safety grant already. And your 400s and your 500s, you'll see that they're 9018, 9019. Those are monies that we are looking at to close out the 2018 funds, and new monies for the 2019, the carryovers for the 2019. If you notice item 4, you'll see that the closeouts are for fund-to-fund transfers back to the, return of advances back to the general fund. Item number 3, fund-to-fund transfers. It's recommended that Board of Education approve the following fund-to-fund transfers. We have monies for the energy and transportation bonds, and we also have monies for the COP bonds. The COP bonds are coming out of the sales tax. The energy transportation are coming out of the general fund. Item number 4, return of advances. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the following return of advances. As spoken to before, these are all advances that the board approved in June of last year, and these monies are coming back from the funds that they were first given to. Questions?
I make a motion to accept the treasurer's action items as presented.
Second.
Any questions or comments from the board? Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none?
Mr. Eastwood?
Aye.
Mr. Skidmore?
Aye.
Ms. Pavlik?
Aye.
Mr. Ross?
Aye.
Ms. Parkhurst?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we have another action item here, authorization to invest in commercial paper. It is recommended that the Medina City School Board of Education approve the authorization to invest in commercial paper as per policy 6144 investments.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Discussion from the board?
Ms. Parkhurst, I do. I didn't know what commercial paper was until just a few months ago. Apparently it's been a topic of conversation for a long time in the Finance Committee. We had the presentation from Ryan at Red Tree at the last work session, and there's no question the district has gained money by its investments. But what I have learned about commercial paper is that it is an unsecured debt, and it is not usually backed by any form of collateral, and it is not required to be registered with the SEC. This makes it a bit riskier than our other investments. We're in the business of educating students. We're not an investment firm. While I like the idea of making more money for the district, I do not like the idea of potentially losing money, even if it is a small amount. If it was me personally with my own money, I might do it, but I am not comfortable using our community's money for something that holds a higher risk due to the requirement, again, that it does not need to be registered with the SEC.
Yes, commercial paper is not held and not secured by the federal government. However, since 1972, only 80 pieces of commercial paper have defaulted. And if you look at those that are rated, of the 80, Moody's rated 25 of them, and of the 25, only a handful were rated at the high rating itself, a handful being 5. So in over 40 years, 45 years, 50 years, over 50 years, you have basically 5 defaults on commercial paper that Moody's rated as being very high. So if you think about all the commercial paper that's been going through the systems in those 45, 50 years, when the district invests $5 million of our $80 million that we have, $75 million that we have, the $5 million, though it's not secured, the $5 million is a minor investment for the district. It will lead to possibly receiving enough money to pay for a teacher, if not possibly paying for a support staff or 2. What I'm looking at is our Finance Committee made the recommendation. We have individuals here that are currently on the Finance Committee. We had individuals that were on the Finance Committee 3 years ago. The Finance Committee made the recommendation. We have an individual currently who is not in favor of commercial paper if it's compounded with Star Ohio, which is roughly 40% commercial paper. That individual is not against commercial paper, he's just against the compounding of it. He also has stated that he would be willing to go to what the Finance Committee recommended, which is $5 million. $5 million out of our entire portfolio, if there are contingencies on there. The contingencies that the state puts on the district is that we could have up to 40% of our investments there. We are not asking 40%, we are asking $5 million at the most. The other contingency that we have as the Finance Committee is $1 million each, not 5%. We're looking at $1 million, $5 million total, $1 million in each investment. So we're minimizing any risk that's out there. We're minimizing risk that the states actually minimize because they have placed it to 270 days. The state also has said 5% of your portfolio of the total 40% could go into any one investment. We're minimizing that by saying $1 million. So the district is looking at minimizing everything for district safety itself. I do not believe that this is any more risk than a CD. CDs are also rated. We look for the best rating on CDs, being green +3, 3 stars itself. The district itself is rated on their bonds. We're at a AA2 bond. So we have ratings going out there for everything that we do. Our treasuries and agencies are also rated. So we're looking for the best ratings on our commercial paper. We're not just throwing it out there and throwing a dart on the wall and saying that's a good investment. I mean, yeah, personally, that's what we might all do. There's a good investment out there. Oh, look, it's up high. Let's go ahead and get it. Or down low, whichever one you want to look at. But we do look at the ratings for this. So our investment advisor has been advising different school districts with this. He's been doing it for years. Commercial paper, he admits commercial paper has more risk for the reasons you say. But as far as the default on a school district over the last 15 years, it's been very minimal. So we as a district, as a finance committee, feel that we are even lowering the risk on it, and that's why this recommendation has been made.
Dave, I appreciate that information. I was appointed to the Finance Committee for this year, and if I recall correctly, throughout this year, we have not had any in-depth conversation with me being present. It's still a risk, and for that reason, I'm still not in support of.
I've been on the investment committee for 3 years. I was in place last year when we said we wanted to move forward. We wanted to give our treasurer and our district basically more tools in our toolbox. We wanted to diversify our portfolio and make sure we have more tools available to us. When Mr. Nelson from Red Tree had come out, I've got papers from 2016. Every year the commercial rate has been higher than what we were currently investing in, and we didn't want to lose out on that money that we have been losing out on additional income for the past 3 years. Yes, with higher rates there does come a little more risk. We're understanding of that, but again, there are limits in place by the state. Mr. Nelson mentioned at the work session last week that of the districts that he works with, 140 out of the 145 already invest in commercial paper. So again, there are items in place by the state limiting our risk. The Finance Committee suggested even limiting it even more, like Mr. Chambers said, and again, just to allow ourselves to diversify our portfolio.
Could I join in too in the conversation?
Can I ask just one more? Okay.
Go ahead.
With Ryan's presentation on Monday, my notes state that he stated that to expect in 2020 for rates to stall and fall. And he also mentioned a potential recession in 2020. So again, these were all flags, and this is what makes me
right, which means that the rates of the things we currently invest in are going to drop even more, and commercial paper rates will go up.
So if I could just chime in, the state used to allow investment in mortgage-backed securities up until 1999, and they did away with that. And as we all are aware, during the 2008 and 2009 financial crisis, mortgage-backed securities were worth maybe 10 to 20% of their commercial paper. Now, the school can't buy those. That's against the law. It's not currently allowed in the law. But what I'm trying to say is that if you've ever watched the movie The Big Short, everybody thought that commercial paper was basically going to be the thing that would go on. It started in the housing industry, and then it went through. So basically, you can get about 30 basis points different between 2.9 and 2.6. Rudy was there the other night. Rudy said he didn't think it was worth it. I felt that his opinion was pretty valid. If this doesn't pass tonight, this is not taking away your ability to still use Star Ohio. Is that correct, Mr. Chambers? So we still have about 24 million, and some of that is at risk with commercial paper. But my understanding is that's managed daily by the state, and they make decisions daily to sell and so forth, and the state operates that fund. So we get that, and you know, we deal with that risk. My concern was, and even this other $5 million you're describing is not in this motion in particular, but I just find that it's a risk that I don't, again, the chances of failure are very minimal, but everybody said that during before the financial crisis. Nobody ever expected housing to go down like it did and so forth, and that was just a couple years ago. It wasn't even 10 years ago, so we all lived that. So I just would rather not have to worry if the stock market's crashing and a bunch of companies file bankruptcy of whether or not we have commercial paper in that company. I'd rather not worry about it. And I know that there's very little way that would get on the list, but I know we had this discussion at the Career Center, and one of them that they showed as an example was Toys R Us. And it was like, okay, Toys R Us is in bankruptcy, you know, so it's, again, so I'm not in favor of it. I'm sorry. I trust everything you're saying, Mr. Chambers, and I do believe we would be okay, generally speaking. It's just a risk. And all the other investments you described, I think all have FDIC or the U.S. Treasury backing them. So with the FDIC, when the Great Recession hit, we went from $100,000 per account to $250 per account backed by the federal government. And then we have the full faith of the federal government on the treasuries and so forth. So I just would rather not put the funds at risk. I appreciate the community giving us the funds to hold for education, and I appreciate trying to get the best return we can on the funds. I just would rather not take the risk with it. So I'm sorry.
Mr. Chambers, let me just ask, isn't the maturity on these like real short, 200 and some days?
Yeah, it's 270 days.
270 days,
Yes.
okay. And on that list, I don't think Toys R Us is on that
No,
investment
Toys
list.
R Us was not on the list. No.
I think to invest, the company, doesn't the company have to have I don't know what the word is, but a 500 million something? I don't know what the word is.
I do not know what the company needs to obtain commercial or put commercial paper out on the streets.
There is certain criteria, though, that needs to be met, and of the commercial paper, there's different tiers, and we are only permitted to select from the tier 1 of those companies. So Toys R Us was never on that list. Okay. Any other comments or questions?
From the public.
Or from the public?
Mr. Eastwood.
Nay.
Ms. Parkhurst.
Aye.
Ms. Pavlik.
No.
Mr. Skidmore.
No.
And Mr. Ross.
Aye. Yes.
Thank you.
First item is donations. A couple things I'd like to point out is plenty of pizza was donated over the course of this past month to our elementary buildings. In addition to that, also want to give some credit to Root Middle School Student Council. We heard from the high schools today, but they're also making a donation to the SPCA, and that's all funds generated through the students' individual fundraisers, so those aren't district funds. Number 2 is a first reading of a policy. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the first reading of the following policy, Policy 3120.04, Employment of Substitutes. And this was recently revised for 12/5/2018. The reason why this adjustment is being recommended is because we'd like the board to allow superintendent's approval to allow long-term subs to be paid so that we don't run into situations where we have a long-term sub who's been working for the district for approximately 6 weeks without being able to be paid. So again, this is just a first reading, not approval. Item number 3 is field trips. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following overnight field trips in compliance with Policy 2340 for the 18-19 and 19-20 school years. A Student Council State Conference in March, as well as the service learning trip to the Dominican Republic, which you just heard about today, for June 2020. And these are both trips that these organizations have participated in the past. Number 4 is an agreement for radio system usage. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the agreement between the Medina County Sheriff's Office and the Medina City Board of Education to allow the district frequency usage on the Medina County trunking radio system. This is in reference to the radios that the board approved at our last regular meeting for purchase, an upgrade to that safety system. I think it's important to point out that the Sheriff's Office is allowing us to trunk their system for free, which normally there would be a fee involved with that. So we thank the Sheriff's Office for their cooperation helping to make our schools safer. Number 5, service agreement. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following service agreement for the 2019, 2020 and 2020-2021. Can't believe I'm saying those years. School year. STAR is a system we've been utilizing for many years in the district for our own progress monitoring of students. We are recommending a multi-year contract because it allows for a $10,000 savings. I know one thing I wanted to make sure in working with Ms. Cassidy is that we indeed wanted to continue with this testing protocol, and we do. Our students have seen enough transitions with assessments. We want to stick with what we're doing. Number 6 is a service agreement for Alice Training Institute on January 18th, 2019. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following service agreement for the 18-19 school year. So this is just coming up in approximately a month. The intent is that we are going to have Alice come in and do refresher training for all of our staff on our upcoming January in-service day. I want to make sure that I mention, we've talked about the safety grant. Mr. Chambers mentioned it at the beginning. This is all being paid for through that grant that we applied for. Thank you, Dr. Kwolek, and have received from the state of Ohio. Number 7 is personnel. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following personnel items as listed. A couple I do want to point out. Charlene Fabian, she's a teacher that has been on a sabbatical leave of absence and has made the decision not to return, so she is not leaving mid-year. And I cannot leave tonight without saying a little bit about Darlene. I know we'd like to tie her to her desk because she does such a nice job, and she's going to be sorely missed by Dr. Kwolek. Darlene Sparks will be on Monday's agenda, as she is on Monday's agenda. She's decided to retire January 1st, 2019 after 30 years of service to Medina City Schools. Darlene is a Medina High School graduate. She is currently an administrative secretary at the board office that oversees every aspect of student registration. We always say that Darlene is the first individual parents meet when they register their children for school. Darlene makes everyone feel welcome and always represents the district very well. She is knowledgeable, helpful, and caring to our students and parents. Over her 30-year career with the district, she has also worked in the transportation department, Garfield Elementary, and Medina High School. She is very involved as an advisor to VOFT and serves as a junior class advisor. With that job, she plans the high school prom and goes out of her way to make it very special every year. Darlene is also a District Distinguished Service Award recipient. She will very much be missed in student registration, but she will stay connected to the district in retirement when not babysitting her grandchildren. She plans to continue her involvement with VOFT program and will continue to help with prom and as a class advisor. So I want to thank Darlene for her years of service. I can tell you I've had the opportunity to work closer with Darlene with her role currently in the board office, and she definitely has some big shoes to fill.
If I could chime in about Mr. Carino too. He took the girls to state twice with girls soccer and has done a great job coaching the girls, and he teaches at Claggett, I believe, correct? Or Root, I'm sorry, he's at Root Middle School, but he will be missed with his leadership with girls soccer. Thank you.
Yes, and I appreciate you bringing that up. I shouldn't have missed that one. But I do want to mention as well that he's leaving in order to spend more time with his family. So yeah, he's been a very successful coach, and with the level that our girls soccer program competes at, it really takes a lot of time.
I make a motion to accept the superintendent action items.
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments from the board? Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none.
Ms. Pavlik.
Aye.
Mr. Skidmore.
Aye.
Mr. Eastwood.
Aye.
Mr. Ross.
Aye.
Ms. Parkhurst. Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.
Mrs. Parkhurst, the next item is it the rec center? Is that the next item? If I could make a motion with this adjusted language in the motion, it would be, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve a resolution in support of the City of Medina's planned recreation center expansion, subject to final architectural and design review by the school district and the amendment of the 2001 City and School MCRC lease agreement and joint operating agreement. We'd like to add that to the resolution. And we'd also like to add, and pending receipt of a letter of intent from the city. I could repeat that if you need me to. Otherwise, I'd like to make that my motion.
I'd second that motion, Rob.
Thanks.
Any comments, discussion from the board?
I just want to make the comments that this is something that's been in the works for a number of years, and we've talked about it, discussed about it, hashed over. We definitely want to support the city in this movement, and we want to see it move forward. A few little details, I'm sure we can get them worked out moving ahead, but look forward to what that looks like. So I appreciate their patience as well as ours working together, and look forward to getting this done.
And can I? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to add that I think that with the letter of intent, it will help to clearly define, disclose, and document this effort. It is going to be a huge effort, a big effort, and I do believe it's the right way to go.
I just want to add that the rec center has been with us, I believe, for 15, almost 16 years, and it is truly a gem in our community. I know many of us are members, and we have an opportunity to make it better. And not only better for our kids in our school district, but better for our community. And I support that. And I also piggyback off of what Doug said. It's extremely important, I think, to all of us that we work with the city and continue our collaboration, strong collaboration with the city of Medina, and which is unique here in Medina. A lot of places don't have that, and so as long as we can work with the city and make improvements and for the betterment of our community, I'm all for it. Thank you.
I agree with Ron that we do have a very special collaborative relationship with the city. I think it's important to continue that. We had said as a district, we had asked, when the city came to us in 2016, initially with this, we had asked if we could wait until after any kind of levy. And when that levy was passed in this past May, we need to hold true to our promise. I'm glad that we're getting this done and moving forward. If there's no other comments or questions from the board, are there any from the public? Hearing none.
Just to recap, if I could jump in, not every detail, but basically it's my understanding that the cost for this addition will be paid for by the city, that they're going to pay for the cost of the addition. It's also my understanding that the future maintenance of the exterior of that facility will be shared between the school district and the rec center of the city. And they plan to use it for some type. Mike was here and he had to leave for the city council, Mr. Wright from the rec center. But it's my understanding they want to use the facility for a CrossFit styled training area and so forth. And so I don't think it'll be part of the area that we schedule as a district from what I'm understanding, but it'll be become part of more of the common area that is always made available for the members of the rec center, which would be like the running track and like the lap pools that are referred to in the joint operating agreement. And it's also my understanding that whatever utility costs there is for, and this will again be in the letter of intent, I think, that the city will give us, but it's my understanding that the cost for the utilities, that the city plans to pick that up. So I appreciate Dr. Kwalik with her work on the committee, and Joe Magnaka, and also with Mr. Ross, who serves on the Rec Center Advisory Committee, and all their work dealing with everybody's different ideas and suggestions and working through it. And I think when Chris gave her speech the other night at the leadership, she talked a lot about collaboration. And I know collaboration is very important for her, and she works very hard to make sure the district collaborates very well with the city. So we want to thank the mayor for his patience with the board, and these are tough things because we have a limited amount of money, and a couple $100,000 a year for the schools means a lot. So we appreciate the patience that everybody has with all of us as we are as careful as we can be with our funds. So thank you.
And if I could just, one more. Half hour ago during the executive session, we were just provided with direction advice from our legal counsel regarding the letter of intent and the fact that the lease agreement and the joint operating agreement are interchangeable.
Any comments or questions from the public? Roll, please.
Mr. Skidmore.
Aye.
Mr. Eastwood.
Aye.
Ms. Pavlik.
Aye.
Mr. Ross.
Aye.
Ms. Parkhurst.
Aye.
Thank you.
At this time, the board is making a recommendation for the Board of Education to approve the superintendent's contract for a 5-year term with provisions as listed in the attached public document.
I'd make a motion to approve as stated.
Second.
Thank you. I'd like to point out that Mr. Sable has been with the district now for 2.5 years. And in that time, he has worked diligently to instill trust back into the community and the district, and has provided financial stability with the recent passage of a levy. During his tenure, he developed a 5-year district-wide strategic plan with the collaboration of students, staff, parents, and community members. We're now in that 2nd year of the plan and are already seeing its fruition with little to no additional costs to the district, which allows the district to remain fiscally responsible. I believe that we're moving forward, and I think that we're very excited to have Mr. Sable move forward with us, lead us at the helm, if this motion would pass.
Concur.
I'd just like to add that I appreciate the leadership that we've seen, the work and the work ethic that I've seen. You walked into something that wasn't the most pleasant or most easy, and I feel you've been diligent, and I think you've done a tremendous job of helping the community learn to trust and earn that trust. So thank you.
I want to thank Mr. Sable too, and we appreciate all his leadership, and we appreciate him having the continued vision for the district. And we know that just because he has a 5-year contract doesn't mean he's going to rest on his laurels. We know that he's going to work hard for the district and make sure that we continue toward even higher levels of excellence. And I know that's what he wants to do, and I look forward to that. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Any from the public?
Mr. Eastwood.
Aye.
Mr. Ross.
Aye.
Ms. Pavlik.
Aye.
Mr. Skidmore.
Aye.
Ms. Parkhurst.
Aye.
Thank you.
We've reached the point in the meeting for public participation. It does not appear that anyone had signed up. However, if anyone would like to speak, they may. If not, I will waive the reading of the rules. Okay. Okay. All right. That concludes our meeting for this evening. May I get a motion to conclude?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Oh,
I'll second.
Thank you.
Mr. Eastwood.
Aye.
Ms. Pavlik.
Aye.
Mr. Skidmore.
Aye.
Mr. Ross.
aye.
Ms. Parkhurst.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you for coming and for staying. We appreciate it very much. Have a good night.